again to another Java short tutorial, and today I'm going to talk about interfaces in Java. In my previous tutorial I have spoken about using a abstract class to force subclasses to implement certain methods. So in this case I had created the abstract method calculateInterest, and as a result all my subclasses had to implement their own version of calculateInterest. But there are other ways to force classes to implement a certain number of methods. And one of these ways is an interface. An interface can be considered sort of as a contract that you give to a Java class to force him to do certain things. This can especially be used when you're working with multiple software engineers in a team and you want another engineer to give you a certain number of methods. So to ensure that that happens, you can basically give the other engineer an interface and say, okay, just follow this interface and everything will be alright. Okay, so how do we create a interface in Java? Well, we can right click on our project, then go to interface, and in this case I'm going to create an interface called math operations. There we go. So the syntax is a bit different from a regular class. So it says public interface math operations, and in there I am basically going to describe all the operations that I would like the person who's going to use this interface to implement. So for example, public integer add two numbers, integer A, integer B. I would like to have a overloaded version of this as well. So double A, double B. And please note I'm not actually implementing these methods, I'm simply putting the header. Alternatively, I can also say public abstract method, so it becomes like the abstract method in the abstract class, but this is optional. So my motto always is less is more, so never mind. Okay, lastly, yeah, well, we're under math operations anyway, so I can say multiply two numbers, integer num1 and integer num2. Okay, so there we go. So as a matter of fact, I don't like this name very much. Let me just rename it for a moment. Math operations interface int, just so it's very clear what it is. Okay, so now I'm going to create a class, and it may come as no surprise, I'm going to name this class math operations. So this math operations class has to implement the interface that is provided to me. So how do we indicate that? Implements math operations interface, and that's why I like using a very clear name for my interface. So I straight away get an error. It's because I have not implemented all the operations yet that I need to implement from the interface. So Eclipse can be helpful here. I'm just going to say add implemented unimplemented methods, and all the method headers are generated at that point. Okay, so in this particular case, add two numbers, so return A plus B. And the same thing for the overloaded version, so also A plus B. And multiply two numbers, well, that will be num1 times num2. Okay, so there we go. And now let's test this with a test math operations class. So I'm going to create an instance of my math operations. Okay, I mean, having said that, I could have also created this as a static class with static methods, but maybe I'll cover that another day. Okay, so we have math operations, so let's just run it. So math ops dot add two numbers, 35 and 7. Okay, then let's do some doubles, 4.5 and 2.3. And finally I want to do multiply two numbers, so 3 and 4. Naturally I would like to print the output because else nothing shows on screen, so I'm just going to put this in a very simple system.out.print line. There we go. Okay, now let's see what happens. 42, 6.8 and 12, so that looks correct. And that's pretty much all there is to it for interface. So let's say if I delete one of these methods, well, I straight away get an error message because I must implement that method. And say if I were to add another operation, so public integer divide two numbers, num1 and num2. There we go. Then naturally I get another error message, so I have to implement this as well. So there's the method header already. And then it becomes a really simple matter of saying, okay, I'm going to have num1 divided by num2, which naturally can also be tested by saying math operations, divide two numbers, 12 and 4. So now if I run this, the additional number of 3 can be seen. Okay, and that's pretty much all there is to it for interfaces. See you next time.